Hey YouTube, straws. I've had to make this video over several times because I keep on saying things that are kind of crazy. But let's just say that, and I don't have my straws out. I've brought them out a few times and now I put them away. So I'm just going to talk about straws without showing you straws. So thank you for understanding. So basically, what are some uses for straws besides sucking up water from a pond or a puddle or something that you know that's a clean source, even though you have to be careful with that. Most water sources I wouldn't just drink right from. But let's just say that you can, and then that's one option. But what about the other options? You could use it to blow air, to clean off surfaces or equipment or small crevices of equipment. But don't forget though also to use it as a way to introduce more oxygen to a young fire. Maybe you just have embers and you're trying to get the fire back because you fell asleep and you woke up in the morning and all you have is just coals or embers in your fire pit or your campfire area. You can put a little tinder on top of that and use your straw at the base of the embers and introduce more oxygen to get it going. Now, in terms of other things you can use straws for, would be basically as an organizer and a waterproofing type of container. And you may be saying, well, what the freak can you get in a straw? Well, you can put matches, you can put fishing hooks and things that may rust in a straw. You can also put medicine, pills or vitamins. You may want to put triple antibiotic ointment in there. Instead of carrying a whole tube, you could put some in a straw. And it goes on and on. Seasonings for if you're going camping, you don't want to carry a big old thing of salt or pepper or your favorite seasoning. And you're also carrying dried food and you want a little flavor, you definitely want to have some type of seasoning. So when you have all these different small little items that can fit into a straw, how do you deal with them being stored in a straw? So what you do is you just cut the straw a little bit larger than the actual item. So there's a little overhang on each side, and take your needle nose pliers from maybe like your multi-tool, hold one of the ends, take a lighter, and you can melt those. Now the McDonald's straws are very good straws for this. There's other straws, but if you're at McDonald's, for example, just grab a few extra straws, and this whole thing is all solved. And so you melt the end of the straw and you hold it with your needle nose pliers for like 10 seconds at least, and let it make sure it cools enough so it'll hold itself. And you put the items in on the other side, and then you hold the other side with your needle nose pliers and you melt the other side, and voila, you have a sealed waterproof little container that helps organize your gear, and it basically can be free. It doesn't even really cost anything. And this is a way to also build small kits, micro kits, in fact, survival kits, to add little items, maybe in your mess kit or other parts of your kit, without having to get really crazy with trying to figure out how you're going to store it in a pouch system and all this other stuff. So that's just another reason to use, or use of, straws. And lastly, I think straws could also be a means of marking a trail. I did recently a little video, and I didn't include that in trail marking, but trail markers could be used, especially if you have brighter straws. They have neon straws now. They have all kinds of very bright straws, and they don't have to be very expensive at all. In fact, you can get a big old box of them for just a couple of dollars, no problem. And straws weigh almost nothing, and they can be condensed and compressed in your pack. And so you could just get a couple of rubber bands and roll up maybe like 20 or 30 of them in a little pack, and you won't even know it's there. And so these straws can be placed like within the bark. You can jam them in the bark of tree trunks, or you can tape it, or even because the straw is hollowed out, obviously, things like little pieces of like offshoots of maybe a tree, you can jam that straw in and use these as trail markers around the campsite to get oriented in case you want to do a small scout. Just be sure to always collect your straws after your scout, but you don't want to leave all these straws behind in the natural habitat. That's no go. And that's not being respectful for your environment. But straws can be used as a trail marker. It can also be used as a marking device for people who are trying to search and to find you. For example, and you could leave, a few straws behind to show that, there was someone there, especially if it's a bright straw, it can be used as a marking device. So these are just some ideas. You can do a lot more with straws. I'm sure you'll probably have a few in the comment section that I've not just forgot about right now. But just don't forget to have a few extra straws at the very minimum, and to use straws throughout your kit to help organize and waterproof items. It's very handy, very inexpensive, super useful, especially when you just want to have a lot of little loose items that you don't know what to do with and don't know how to contain it or store it. Straws is one of the big answers. Another way you could do it is these little test tubes, but test tubes, they typically come in like this really hard plastic or glass. And the thing about them is that the actual way that they actually open and close with the little cork, or even the rubber cork system, or the the top piece that goes into the test tube, it's not always guaranteed to stay in there. So I don't use those anymore. And some people also have tried to use like pill organizers. But once again, the snap tops are not what you would call really water resistant. And sometimes those little tops can pop off in your pack, and your stuff just kind of spills out. So one way to to kind of mitigate from that, or to reduce the chances of having any kind of spills or accidents in your bag, just to use straws. And it'll take a few more seconds to put things in the straw and to melt the ends, but you'll get much better results. Yes, you could also just get a lot of very small Ziploc bags or even freezer bags and put things individually in that. That's another option. But straws, though, is a more unique and even a more compact version or method of using Ziploc bags. Because if all you're trying to do is just put like 3 or 4 vitamins into something just to store it, it's just a little awkward to have a whole Ziploc bag for just a few little pills or vitamins or whatnot. And so it just makes a lot more sense, just from a form factor, just to use a straw. As always, thanks for watching.